Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to SevTech Ages. So, since last episode, look at that. I spent a while working on these. I will say, with the wood farm, with the horse cutter, they're a lot faster now. To build, it takes about 30-40 minutes per tower. And that's as long as I keep the wood running. I have to make sure and keep the wood running while I'm building, and so that way I always have quite a bit of wood, because it's a lot of wood that goes into these. These are just the exterior. I haven't done any floor work on either of these. You can see this one actually has 3 different entrances, so it's a little bit different. But and then I also, let's see, I worked on the path over there, coming out of there. Also, you'll notice I started doing some grass paths, just kind of plotting out some of the road work and stuff. I also brought the fences down along on both sides of the bridge over there and around the tree farm and some stuff like that. And I started working on a project. We're actually going to pull this stuff up because we are going to be moving this. At long last, we are going to be moving this. But I did go ahead... Oh, I meant to actually put my blood orb in there so that it could start building up or take all that essence, because we are going to need a bit of essence in our blood orb before too long. But anyways, in here, I did go ahead and prep up some slates. And you'll notice I did expand the storage of the backpack. We now have the stone tier. Iron is the next upgrade, which I think is in the next age. But we have 4 lines of slots available. In addition, you'll notice I did change over to the black quartz tools because the Paxel, I'm just not finding a whole lot of bears anymore. So I can't keep up the amount of claws that I need. So I had to make a change. I also made this. I want to show you guys that in a minute. I started using the stone pick because I was breaking so many blocks. You can see the pickaxe here, the black quartz. I've broken over 2,000 blocks with that. I've broken over 7,000 with the stone pick. I just switched over because it was a little bit easier. I mean, I've got black quartz. I've got some smelting up over here. Or I had some. It's probably done by now. There's 4. So there's 36. Also, I did find some more aquamarine, so we are good on aquamarine for a bit. But anyways, I want to make a couple runes today. I'm thinking 4 speed runes and 4 self-sacrifice runes. Which the speed runes are just, I believe it's smooth stone and sugar. The self-sacrifice is smooth stone, yellow dye powder, which I think we've probably got flowers for this, I do believe. Actually, can't we use sunflower for this? Well, dandelion yellow. And you get 6 dandelion yellow per sunflower, so... And I'll get the horse breaking that down. And we do have a very interesting project I started working on. That's why I have so many blocks broken with the pick. Part of that was from mining, but most of it was from clearing. So, and it ties into why we're going to move the blood altar now. I will say this isn't going to be the permanent spot. It actually has to get dropped by quite a bit. But that takes a while. I spent quite a while mining that out. I did use some totems for haste, but I was moving them around and whatnot. So, over here I've got smooth stone available. I've got a bunch cooking up. There we go. Look at that. All 3 towers finally. Like I said, I've only done the base layer. I will say that these top sections are actually going to get like viewing platforms so we can step out and look, because if you're on the Discord, you may have saw I've posted some pictures of the village from above, from the top of those towers, and it's an awesome view. So I do want to do some nice viewing platforms at the top of that, which we'll get into those before too long. So we can get our 4 speed runes and 4 oh wait, I need this. And our 4 runes of self-sacrifice, which is just going to make our lives a whole lot easier with blood magic. Now, in addition, let me go ahead and grab some jungle wood, because we are going to set up a little tranquil area for the incense altar to kind of boost that at long last. So I'm going to get just a miscellaneous little bit of stuff. I'm going to get some flowers, I'm going to get some wood, and I'm also going to get some leaves from a tree. Oh, by the way, why level 176? I just recently went mining for aquamarine. I actually have quite a bit now. I have like 20 something. Why 176 is where I've been finding a lot of aquamarine, like a bunch. Black quartz, where we were mining before, is perfect. There's a ton of black quartz. It's super common. Aquamarine, seem to be a little bit more rare, but once I hit Y176, it's super common as well. So that seems to be like the ideal place for mining that. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a bit of leaves. I've just got clay shears, because my other one's broke, and clay shears, easy to craft, and I actually made up like 3 or 4 of them. Okay, now this tree scythe, this thing is fairly easy to craft. What you can do with this tree scythe is just, look, this one's for cutting down trees, there's also one for plants, but you can just hold right click, and there we go. It just clears out massive amounts of leaves. Okay, and I also brought the tree farm. I've been working on that a little bit, but look down there. I've been working on something over here. Brought this down. This is actually going to connect into where our dock is going to be. I will say, eventually, we're going to set up a net area. It's going to be over here on the other side. I've got that little area over there near the blacksmith that kind of opens up. It's going to lead down to the river, and that's where we're going to have our fishing nets, or at least most of them, I think. But over here, this is going to connect into our little dock area. So it's going to connect over there, and then it's also going to cross the river and connect up. Just kind of bring all that around nicely and have stairs to go up. But down here, and this is highly unfinished, it's highly unfinished, we have a door. We have a door, and look inside these chests. There is lots of junk. There is a ton of junk. This didn't come from mining, but I guess I just dumped it in there on accident. I am getting quite a bit of salt, because we are actually right underneath the water somewhat. So there's a lot of salt. But anyways, do you guys want to go through the door? Let's go through the door. I've been working on this. This is awesome to mine out. It brings me back to the vanilla days where you do all your mining with like stone pickaxe, and if you're really awesome, iron pickaxes for like mass clearing. It does take quite a while, especially when I switch back over to the stone pick. But this all has to be brought down a ton. This actually has to go down probably 20-ish blocks deep, give or take. So I do have a lot of clearing left to do. So for right now, we're actually going to put the blood altar down right here. Okay, I'm not going to clear any farther down until I start putting in the roof. And these blocks here, I'm actually going to put blocks over these, and blocks are going to go down here. The wall actually has to get pushed back for me to put the blocks in, but the blocks are going to be put over these borders. That's why I filled them back in with cobblestone, because they need to stay there. But yeah, this room is a 35, if I recall correctly, 35 by 35 diameter. So diameter circle. So yeah, it's gonna be a big room. It's gonna be a very, very big room. But anyways, let's go ahead and put our runes down. This is really gonna help us out when it comes to our blood magic stuff. Of course, the self-sacrifice runes boost the amount of life essence that we get every time we stab ourselves. So I'll put these down right there. And then the speed runes boost the speed that stuff absorbs life essence. Now, if I recall correctly, in Blood Magic 1.10, I think, it was changed so that instead of only taking the 4 cardinal runes at a tier 2, it now takes all 8 runes, I think. Don't quote me on that. Because in 1.7, it only took the 4 cardinal runes, and these other 4 runes were useless until you hit tier 3. But I believe in this version, all 8 runes they take effect. And then over here, let's actually go ahead and get a crafting table, because I am going to kind of want one of those. Let's put it right here. And we're going to set up our incense altar. Now, the book on blood magic details this stuff in great detail. So, if there's anything you don't understand about the incense altar, it's detailed very, very well in that book. But what we're going to do is we are going to make ourselves some wooden paths, and we're going to make a tranquil area. And altogether, I'm going to want, what, 36? They're not terribly expensive. I'm up to my neck in jungle wood and wood in general, because, like, I'm always cutting down trees. Or wait, no, it doesn't need to be there. It needs to be 2 blocks out, right? I'm rusty on this. It's been a while, because normally I just gun... Let me go grab the book, actually. Normally I just gun straight for mob sacrifice. And I don't normally mess with self-sacrifice too much, but in this pack we're going to be using self-sacrifice quite extensively. Technically you could do mob sacrifice if you wanted to do like a really elaborate dark room with water flow and everything. You could do it, but self-sacrifice seems to be the way it's kind of leaning towards, and it's going to work out a lot easier for us. So I have enough project in my plate. I don't want to build a giant dark room for mob sacrifice right now. Okay, yeah, it is 2 blocks out. Okay, so we'll do like that. You're going to have a 3x3 in the middle that the incense altar sits on. So we're going to have a structure just like this. Now, like I said, you could just do like 1 row here and not build out, you know, the 2nd and the 3rd row, but it's going to give us a lot more space. So right now we can basically use these little 3x3 corners for planting stuff and putting down stuff that's going to boost our tranquility. I did forget to grab my divination sigil. Let me pop back over there. Okay, so the divination sigil, we've covered it in terms of the blood altar and the essence in your network. You can also use it for your incense altar. If you look right there at the top left, you can see 0 and then plus 20. The 0 is your tranquility rating. Okay, and then the plus 20 thing, that's your bonus that's added whenever you stab yourself. So right now we have a bonus of 20 just for it being an incense altar, basically. Straight value. So what we're going to do then is we're going to pull up these blocks here. And basically what we've done is we have, 9 blocks on this. So we have a 9x9 structure that anything that we plant around this is going to boost our tranquility. Now I'm not going to get into all the specifics of it. Once again, Blood Magic Guidebook covers all of that. You do have diminished returns. You can use a variety of things, not just crops, but also netherrack lava. Of course, we don't have access to that at the moment. And you can also change Y levels with this, so you can make like pyramids and just all different kinds of shapes. And they can change Y levels pretty drastically too. So the guidebook covers all of that, you know, if you want more information on this. Now this setup is, like I said, it's going to eventually have to get dropped, and we're going to have to pull this up. But that's fine. That's okay. Because it doesn't need to be right here next to the blood altar anyway long term, because this structure actually gets fairly large. Also, of course, the blood altar gets fairly large as well. So, but anyways, what we're going to do is we can use things like leaves and plants. Also, farmland, water, all that stuff boosts this. I don't have a bucket right now, so I'm not going to move water. So I'm just going to use like, we'll put some logs down. Actually, I probably shouldn't worry too much about how it looks because, like I said, this is going to eventually get moved. Now that I've put some logs down, if we take a look, you can see it's plus 60, the boost. So we've already made it 3 times stronger than what it was before we put down logs. Okay, now also leaves work. And you don't really have to like spread these out. You're going to get equal diminished returns if they're in the same little 3x3 section as if they're spread out. It's going to be the same. But now that I've put down some leaves, you can see our tranquility has gone up to 963. Flowers do not work for it. So it's going to be leaves, crops, farmland. I believe grass actually has an effect. So if we brought down a block of grass with, say, chisels and bits, we could use that. But that's fine. I'll just do it with leaves and logs for the time being. That's what I've got on me, so it works. Okay, so our tranquility is up to 1,000. Oh, there we go. 1,147 is what our tranquility is at. Now, if I was to put, I can't remember if you can do the inner circle. Okay, yeah, the inner circle does not work. It has to be, you know, in those little quadrants there. And in addition, I don't think you can put stuff on the wooden paths. I could be wrong, though, on that. You can put stuff on the wooden paths if you so desire. I'm not going to because I want to keep it clean. Plus, I feel like we've probably got enough tranquility at the moment to suit our needs. Okay, so I cleared out our blood altar. Well, I mean, I cleared out the sacrificial dagger because if I recall, it stores tranquility. And the last place I was at was not very tranquil. So right now we have no life essence in this blood altar. If we come over here, there we go, you see some fire, and our sacrificial dagger got the little effect on it. And let's go ahead now and see what happens when we sacrifice. Pow. Almost 6,000 life points. Of course, that was from full health, but still, that's a lot of life essence. That is not too bad at all. I may go ahead and throw the Apprentice Blood Orb in here, because I don't actually have anything at the moment, so I'll just leave that in there. I just wanted to cover that, because something I've been meaning to get to when we had time. And now we have time, so. Okay, so anyways, next up, now that we've got that stuff covered, blood magic, like I said, there's nothing really that we need from it at the moment, and I don't think there really will be much that we need from blood magic. I need to light all that up around the tree farm. But, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot from blood magic that we need for the rest of the age. But once we hit age 2, we'll be able to hit the ground running, I'm pretty sure, with blood magic. Or at least fairly quickly. I think, yeah, we'll have to get iron before we can make that, before we can really start kicking into blood magic. Okay, so first up, we need to craft up axles. And ideally, I'm going to want a bit of this stuff, I do believe. So black quartz, hemp rope, and sticks for each axle. Hemp rope is hemp fibers. And that's hemp. Each piece of hemp gives you 3 hemp fibers. Awesome. So, I tell you what, when we first set this up, we're probably going to, because I don't want to use the manual mill forever. And I know there's some expensive stuff coming up. Also, the axles, when we start making a bunch of these, and making a bunch of gearboxes. I don't think the gearboxes take the hemp rope. I could be wrong. We'll find out here in a minute. But at first, we're probably just going to plug it directly into our mechanical power source, and then we will expand out and make like a nice axle system where the mechanical power gets sent down. Okay, there's our hemp fibers. So we'll go ahead and get our hemp rope. And we got another Better with Mods manual. Okay, we'll just put that one away. That manual does cover most of the stuff with Better with Mods and Better with Add-ons both. They're both covered in the same manual. And it does cover it all in fairly good detail. Now, I think that's pretty much everything that we're going to need. And I've got more sticks down there. I need to grab them. But there we go. There is our wooden axle. So we got the Axle F advancement. And then next up, what are we doing? Getting started in mechanical power will require a source such as the Better with Mods water wheel. Now, you can either do the water wheel or the windmill, or the vertical windmill. I'm going to be doing a bunch of the vertical windmills. Well, I say a bunch, a few of them. But these things are fairly expensive. They do require this right here, this recipe. Now, I don't think that it's going to require 8, because generally this recipe tends to bug and not work properly, I guess, and it only takes 1. But these are fairly expensive, requiring 9 hemp fibers. So even still, it's not going to be cheap at all. But first up, I'm going to start with the water wheel, and that's due to the fact that we can get the water wheel up and going, and then we can make our hemp a lot easier, because we can have the water wheel do it for us instead of us manually pulling that crank for hours. So for this, we're going to need to get ourselves some wood blades, and we're going to have to get that coagulated blood again, or we can get glue, which can be made in the cauldron using pelts. Also rotten flesh, dog pelt. I've got quite a bit of cow pelts. So I think that's the route that we're going to take for this. That cauldron is extremely useful. Definitely worth crafting. The stew is amazing. And also you can dump in like loads of steak or loads of potatoes or whatever, and it's going to cook that for you. This is like the king of culinary cooking in this pack, in my opinion. It has a huge inventory, and it's going to cook any possible recipe with the items given, with the items in its inventory. So, all right, so we've got the glue going. Now we're going to have to also make some gears, and these aren't terribly expensive at this point. Stone gears take wooden gears. These take buffalo teeth, or we can do it with glue. Okay, now I'm not for sure if I have the buffalo teeth. Yeah, I do. I have buffalo teeth right here. Okay, so we're going to make our first gear just using buffalo teeth. That's fine. And it does require red cedar. Also fine. Because I don't think I have any other real use for buffalo teeth, at least at the moment. And I have buffalo, so it's not really a problem to go that route. Let me actually get some more sticks being made. And here soon it's going to be a whole lot easier once we get this. Which we'll be getting this maybe today. We'll see. So this right here, wooden gear. And then we can upgrade that into a stone gear using just stone. So there's our stone gear, and then we need to get ourselves 4 copper plates. And then we're going to need slabs with our glue to make our wood blades. Man, these water wheels are a little bit expensive, and I actually want quite a few of these things. Okay, so there's our bronze plates, and we can get our gear that we wanted. And there we go. There's 16 or 18 glue. So not too bad. And then we need an absolute ton of slabs, which if I recall correctly, I think here soon we're going to be able to make slabs a whole lot easier. But we'll be able to make these for starters. Oh, and by the way, one thing I wanted to show you guys, because I totally forgot to mention it, you'll see that I have grass path stairs. These aren't craftable in the normal sense. What you need is the work blade. And then what you can do is, like, for example, let's pull this up. Well, okay, it pulls up as grass path stairs. If I was to make, well, I don't have anywhere where I need grass path stairs right now. Okay, well, if I was to turn this into a grass path, and then I take the flint work blade and just shift right click, there we go. And sometimes it's a little bit wonky trying to do it, but that's how you make your grass path stairs. Okay, so with the flint work blade, you do a lot of in-world crafting. It actually says right, take a look right here. It says in-world recipes. That's one of the in-world recipes. You can also do the ladders. You can do like cobblestone ladders and stuff like that using that flint work blade, like the ladder blocks. That's how you do those. But anyhow, let's go ahead and get 8 of these. There we go. And then we can get our water wheel. Oh, it's a copper gear, not a bronze gear. That's fine. I'm going to need the bronze gear right here to make the saw. So that's fine. Whoops. Oh, that also means I'm going to have to tear up another. I'm just going to make it with this recipe. Now that we've got some glue on hand. I just don't have a whole lot of use for buffalo teeth, so I don't mind using them. Oh, and I made an extra wooden gear, I guess. That's fine. Not too worried about it. There's our copper gear, and there is our water wheel. Okay, what are we doing? And then they want us to make the gearbox. So let's see, we're going to need 2 bronze plates, wooden axle, oh, man, and then thin slabs. Okay, let me go get this stuff together real quick. Okay, so let's get our wooden gearbox. There we go. We got the grinding your gears. And then next up they want us to craft a turntable. Now I want to do something a little bit more elaborate instead of going straight into the turntable right now. I want to start off with the millstone. I want to make hemp fiber. I want to make it a whole lot easier. And what we're going to do is we are going to semi-automate the millstone. Well, actually, pretty much fully automate. Basically, we can throw our hemp in there and come back later and we'll have hemp fiber. Because I really don't want to have to stand there and pick the items up, because that's no fun. And we don't want to have to pull that manual mill ever again. That thing is terrible. Alright, so what I'm going to want is... Let's actually just do that. Let's get 3, 4, 5, and a chest. And actually, let's get one more set. Okay, so we're going to get 8 chests. 2 of these, one's going to be input, one's going to be output, just so we have a larger buffer. And then we are going to get ourselves hoppers. Just wooden hoppers are fine. And this is going to be a temporary setup. We're going to make something a lot more fancy once we have more axles. But that takes a lot of hemp. And like I said, I never want to use this crank ever again. It takes a ton of hunger. And it's also not a whole lot of fun to use. Because you just have to stand there and just keep cranking it. And you can't hold right click. I mean, well, you can hold right click, but you can't like hit right click and just leave it. You have to actually hold it. I mean, you can put something on your mouse. But the fact that you have to consistently eat kind of ruins that approach. So it's just not a very fun thing to use. Let's set it up. Temporary spot, of course, but we're going to set it up over here, I guess near the river. Now, one nice thing about this is the water wheel from Better With Mods is not exactly the same as the water wheel from Immersive Engineering, in that it only really needs water flowing on either the bottom or the sides. It doesn't have to have it flowing like in a full 360. It doesn't really get, from what I remember, it doesn't really get any kind of a efficiency boost for having water flowing, you know, in across multiple sides. So this thing is a 5x5. I'm going to set it up like right here, back by 1. And we're going to use just this water for right now. And we're going to move this, probably this episode, chances are. So we're going to put an axle down right there, and then we're going to put our water wheel onto that axle. So that's what it looks like. And then what we can do is we can just trim this back. I do have a shovel. It has durability now. And what we'll do, we'll just dig out underneath this. And we'll send the water flowing down through there. Oh wait, this actually has to be dropped by one, doesn't it? Yes, it does. It does. Okay, so the axle's going to sit right there. And then we'll put the water wheel down right there. And you can see that's going to start turning. It's going to start spinning up. And then what we can do... Oh, it makes that cool sound. I love the water wheels from Better with Mods. I have some really cool ideas for these too. We're going to have like meal houses and stuff. And we're going to have some elsewhere too. But I'm going to cut for a minute here in just a second because I'm going to work on some of this stuff. And I'm probably going to be maybe starting on the water wheel house. I have so many projects. It takes so long. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we're going to set up our wooden gearbox. And you don't have to have this directly attached to this axle. You can have it come out. Each axle can support, I think it's up to 3 blocks. I think it actually tells... Yeah, you can have no more than 3 axles between each gearbox or source. Okay, but I'm gonna put it right here because I only have 1 axle. I don't want to make any more. Let's see, I can't really tell. Let me pull this off for just a minute here, just to make this a little bit easier for us. Okay, so what we can do is we can shift right click this, and it's gonna rotate it around. And so the side here with the cross in it, that's where your powered axle needs to go. So we'll just put the axle into that wooden gearbox, and then we'll put the water wheel back down like that. And whenever I say water can flow down the sides, it's like, you know, have it flowing like vertical instead of horizontal. You can do that, so you can have it flow down across the fronts of water wheels, and it'll turn that way too. Okay, so now we have mechanical energy feeding into this wooden gearbox, and then what we can do is we can take... Where did my other axle go? I dropped it somewhere. No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. I was so sure that I was done with it. Alright, let me crank this thing up. Man, I guess you could put something on your keyboard and just have it, or on your mouse and just have it doing this, because it'll eat the food whenever there's hunger available. But okay, so we got another axle. I still think my axle is lurking around here somewhere, but that's fine. Whatever. They're about to get a whole lot easier to make, so it is whatever. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we're going to come down underneath here. It's not going to look pretty, I promise. But it is what it is. Oh, you know what? No, I need it to come back like one more. Oh, man, I'm going to have to craft another axle. Because what I want to do is I want to pull up the gearbox. I want to put it down right here, actually. And then we just shift right click that, and then we'll put the axle feeding into that way. I sure do love this hand crank. This is like my favorite thing ever. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set up our millstone, and we're going to have it setting right here. Now you'll notice it does say blocked. It has too many solid blocks around it. That's fine. What we're going to do, and I will fix this ground whenever we finish with this, but for right now, we're going to tear this up a little bit here. Actually, I think it's not saying blocked right now with just one side. I can't remember if I put a hopper right there. Okay, it's still not blocked. Awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a chest on this side. And the millstone is going to, of course, it's going to emit to any free open sides around it. And so that should just be like this side and this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to just open this up. And we're going to go down here. And I'm going to... see, I'm going to put a hopper right here feeding down. And then I'm going to feed a hopper, set a hopper feeding into that hopper. And then a hopper feeding into that hopper from that side. And then we're going to place down some cobble right there. And over here I'm going to put this down like that. It's going to be very, very ugly. And then let's just burrow down here real quick. And I need to get up underneath the millstone to where that hopper is feeding down, which is right there. And then what we'll do is we will just put a chest. We're going to make something a little bit nicer looking. Possibly, maybe by the end of the episode. We'll see where I get to and everything. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to have our axle feeding down into the millstone. Like that. and you can see it's churning up the millstone. It does need to feed down into the top of it. That little open slot there kind of denotes where you need to feed the axle power in. And then what we can do is we can throw our hemp into this chest. And it is just dumping straight down through, isn't it? Yes, it is. Oh, you know what? That hopper right there is grabbing everything. So what we'll do then, we'll put a block of cobble there. And we're going to put our hoppers, we'll put hopper right there, hopper right there, hopper there, hopper there. Okay, and now it's hard to get to the chest. Let me dig this out just a little bit more. And think about the hopper pulling the stuff right out of there. And of course now I can't access the chest. Okay, so we should see, there we go, hemp fibers getting dropped into this. And it should all get deposited because the only place that it can drop the hemp fiber is on top of one of those two hoppers. Tell you what, I don't think the hoppers feed very well like that. Let's do like that instead. Okay, yeah, it's going up now. So the hopper doesn't want to feed into another hopper. I guess because it doesn't really count as like an inventory. Yeah, it just takes a second, but it is getting the items. And then I could always put like a slab right there. Go. Okay. So our hemp fibers are now fully automated. Pretty much. I mean, I got to get hemp and put it in there. But this hemp does go pretty far. Now, really, I could probably do without the chest and the hopper right there if I wanted to. Because this thing does have a decent sized inventory space, but that's fine. And that also means that we can easily make like grout and porcelain clay now. Because this manual mill, crank that stuff up. We don't have to do that anymore. We can just throw it into here and let it run. So we just need it to look a little bit nicer because it's kind of ugly right now. So anyways, I'm going to be back here in just a bit. I'm going to be working on some of the mechanical power stuff, and then at the end of the episode we'll expand on it just slightly. I'm also probably going to craft up two things in particular between cuts. The first up is the saw. This right here, it requires just basic stuff. Flint blade, requires a 10 gear. I do want to get that, which requires mechanical power. And then we're also going to want the turntable. I'll wait till we come back to craft it because it does unlock an advancement. But with that, we're going to be able to get ourselves a bucket. So we'll try to get our bucket towards the end of the episode. So anyways, I will be back here in just a bit. Okay, it's been a little while since I last cut. Part of that was real stuff, and then I've spent a while working on this stuff. More than anything, plotting out where it's going to go and starting it. But these blocks here are expensive. Not really expensive, but they're time consuming because they take so much sugarcane. But I'm wanting to do these platform floors. I love the way this looks. And then I'm probably going to do a little bit of like straw, probably thatch. Maybe along this wall. We shall see. I've just kind of started working on this stuff. I did plug up the saw, and that's just so that I could make spruce wood planks a whole lot easier. Since I got that crafted. By the way, if we hop out over here, this is what it looks like at the moment, which we're about to, since we got the saw now, I'm going to show you guys what we're going to do in this little area. And then, of course, I've got to go through and do a lot of cleanup on this. And this area out here, past these posts, this is going to be an outdoor area where we have like a wood cutting system. Now, I will say it's not going to be fully implemented until probably the next age. The next age, we unlock redstone, which I'm planning on, we're going to do a piston and have a piston pushing the wood, and the saw is going to be cutting it, and then it's going to be dropping down into a hopper to come into an output, is my plan. But then in addition, in the next age, since we get redstone and stuff, possibly the next age, I want to set up an elevator system. We can get rid of those ladders inside the totems, and we can actually have like an elevator that raises and lowers. And we're going to use the, I'm really excited about it because I've never really, I guess, used it in a series, but the pulley and anchor system is a lot of fun. It's way too much fun. Probably the best elevator mod ever because it's a very like old rustic type elevator. I'm so excited for it. I do want to use those in a few places. And I'm thinking we're going to have vertical windmills on the top of those. But I want to wait. I mean, I don't know. We might put them up. I've got to do a little bit more testing because in my test world, my vertical windmill, even in the rain and stuff, it has not broken the gearbox, but we'll see. because I want the vertical windmills to control the elevators that raise and lower inside the totem. But anyways, over here I've got the millstone set up. It's pretty much the same. This is temporary setup. We're going to clean this up later. But back in there is the chest, and then the 2 hoppers just feed into the chest, and then that's input right there. So, but anyways, the water wheel feeds down through here. The wooden axles come through and then plug into this wooden gearbox, and then it travels up, goes up to here, and then of course it gets sent out over here. It gets sent out over to the saw. By the way, watch out for the saw, because you can see I take damage and little blood particles come out of that. You can actually use those for mob farms because they do damage mobs as well. Okay, I'm about to go sleep actually. So just be careful around the saw. It does hurt. I've got armor on, but it will hurt you pretty bad, especially if you're not wearing armor. But anyways, the way that the saw works, and this one, you can actually plug in your axles to any of the sides as long as it's not the saw facing. Whereas the millstone, you know, it had to come in from the top, right? But what we can do is we can take our wood and, okay, right now I have 62 planks, right? We can put our wood right there, and it's going to cut it down, and we get 6 planks per piece of wood. We also get spruce bark, and we get sawdust, 2 pieces of sawdust. So it's so much better than using, I love my horse, and I'm going to keep him there, but it's so much better. Not to mention it's like instant pretty much, because you can do that. And then if you have a piston pushing the wood or the blocks into this, it'll break them down too. Now in addition, we can also make gears a whole lot easier. I haven't crafted the turntable yet because I figured we're going to do it the good way. Using these wood corner blocks, which can be crafted from wood molding, wood benches, wood tables. We can make all these things now, which is exciting. The molding, we can cut down slabs or siding or fences. And then to make the siding, we can cut down planks. So what we're going to do, we'll just put that right there. It's going to cut it down into, I know my inventory is a mess. And I got more glue being made. I used some rotten flesh this time. You can use that, but I like to keep the rotten flesh because we can use it for the congealed slime, like blood slime and all that. But anyways, we can take our siding and put that on there. And I want to say there's a way that, no, we can't make slabs with a saw. I was thinking that we could. But anyways, we got our molding, which this stuff, you can place it down, and then you can, oops, okay, if you stand back here, it won't pick it up. But you can kind of rotate this around, which is kind of nifty. Since there's no architecture craft in this pack, this is like somewhat of an alternative. And then we can take our molding and break that stuff down and get our wood corners. And then from that one plank, we can make 8 gears. So much cheaper than the glue method. And way cheaper than the buffalo teeth and the cedar. So 8 wooden gears per plank. Any type of wood works. So good stuff. There's a ton of stuff that you can actually make with that saw. And there's a ton of stuff that I'm going to be making with that saw, like decorative things and stuff. I've been like waiting for that saw for so long. Not to mention it's going to make all my building so much easier. Because now I can get 6 planks instead of 4. It's just so much nicer. So much nicer. Okay, so before we get into the decorative stuff. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and do the decorative stuff first, actually. Oh, by the way, these platforms, they use... I'll show you this recipe real quick. They're kind of expensive because they require 5 pieces of wood and 2 wicker, and each wicker is 4 sugarcane. So it's a little bit on the expensive side, but one thing that's really nice, and I've been wanting to get this wicker going, and it keeps slipping my mind. This stuff can be used as a really good, like, rustic looking fence. Like, look at that. It's basically that, but vertical. Very, very nice looking. Which really, I guess... There's 7 more of those. So, yay. I guess. They're so expensive. It hurts to make these things. Mainly because it just eats through sugarcane so fast. Like, you harvest all the sugarcane that's up there, you get like 7 blocks or something like that. Okay, but I've been wanting to get slats. I want these vertical slats. These require just the molding blocks. 4 of those makes 4 slats. And then we also have, oh, there's another, it's this right here. This is what I want, the spruce grate. This as well. And these actually place kind of like fences. Let me get a little bit of this cut down into that molding. Oh, and by the way, I'm on the server right now with Damian Reeve, Calahad, and Faraday. Okay, so there is our spruce grates. Oh man, I'm so happy to be getting into this stuff. And what I want to use these for is right over here, in fact. And this water wheel section, I want to grate this in. Oh, it doesn't connect though. I don't know. Something like that is what I was wanting. I may end up changing this block over here, possibly. Well, I don't really think it looks that bad, though. I don't know. I'm going to play around with it. But anyways, we can make those grate blocks, right? And then in addition, we can make slats. Which I actually don't think these connect either. No, but look at that. That's awesome. I love these blocks so much. And we have all the different wood types and everything, so I'm going to be having a lot of fun between episodes with grates and with slats. So I want to use those kind of for the windows inside of this wheelhouse, or this mill house. So that's why I started the build, but I haven't actually finished it because I was wanting to get into that. Okay, so anyways, there's a lot of stuff like that we can make. And another thing, we're about to get another really awesome decorative thing because I want vases and I want to put these around. Can I only make that in the? Oh, we have to make it in the kiln. That's fine. Yeah, and then we have to use the kiln for firing the planters as well. Okay, well, that's fine. That's not a problem. But anyways, we're going to get ourselves the turntable. This right here. And the reason I waited on this is because the fact, A, we needed siding, so I wanted to go with the saw. But then B, gears. Just so much easier now to make gears than it was. And I guess technically, I mean, this siding, we can use this as slabs, now that I think about it, because we can place it like all over. So, I mean, really, as far as building purposes, I mean, if something requires specifically a slab, we still have to make slabs the old way. But for building, I could use the siding. It would work fine. By the way, this works. Put a hopper onto your anvil, put a chest there, and you can knock through plates so much faster. So, earlier I was like, I'm going to try this, and it works. So, look, I mean, look at this. Like, 4 plates. All you got to do is just sit here and hold the right-click button. So much better than having to change those out all the time. And dun-dun-dun, easy as pie, there is our turntable. Now, I'm also going to have to get a gearbox. Turning the tables, advancement. And, yeah, we're about to finish this line. The bucket is the last thing. This is actually, I was in my test world earlier, and this is the line that we actually have to do to get to the next stage. So it'll be next episode before we get to the next stage. Just a heads up. Now, I'm going to want, let's say, 2 gearboxes. So what we're going to do, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. The water wheels and stuff, you can pretty much plug up infinite machines to this. Like when you're doing mechanical power, there's not really a limit. So, I mean, you can have just tons of axles plugged up to tons of gearboxes, plugged up to tons of machines, and it's going to work. Because there's not really like an amount of like mechanical energy that a water wheel creates. Originally I was thinking about just doing like 3 water wheels just for looks, it doesn't really do anything. But then I was like, you know, why bother? And I actually like the one, when I was looking at a lot of reference pictures for medieval mill houses, you know, and they tend to always just have like 1 water wheel. So I figured, well, we'll just go with 1. And I'm planning on maybe having additional mill houses, but we'll see. We'll see. So, they may just be, like, for looks and not really do anything in them, but I don't know. It just depends. It depends on how big the town grows, I guess. But anyways, so I've got this one coming out to this wooden gearbox. Now, the turntable, if we look at this, it does require the power to come in from the bottom. Okay? So, we are going to want that coming in from the bottom. Let's pull this up. And getting out of here is going to be awesome. Because I've got all this. Let me actually just pull this up. This will be good. And right here is our wooden gearbox. So what we're going to do, we're going to plug in our axles. And we're going to bring this down. And then let me grab this. Well, actually, I guess I don't need... Hopefully it doesn't break. Okay, it didn't break. We're going to put our gearbox setting right there. Okay, it is facing the right direction, so power is coming through this. I guess I could have tested it just by plugging up an axle. And I want... Yeah, I need like one more axle. Well, I need more than one axle, but I need one more in that direction. Okay, so this down here... done. Let me get... I'm gonna be out of black quartz like after this episode. Oh my goodness. Oh, is that all the axles? Ah, I need more hemp. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna plug this axle up right there. And we're gonna put our last gearbox setting right there. And let's see. Let me go get some more hemp. I don't have any bone meal on me. I'm sure I don't. But hey, next episode I will probably, well, chances are we will definitely hit the next age and do a bit of cleanup in this age. But that means we'll be able to get apiaries. I know there is the ceremony that we could do, but I kind of just want like a nice passive power. Because my farm's not really set up for totems, you know. I mean, I could put them in there for specific crops and stuff like that. Why'd I put the hemp in the output chest? I'm losing my mind. This is so much nicer though than the hand crank, right? It's faster, and there's no hunger involved, and it's automatic. Okay, so there's another axle. What we can do is we can just plug that up, and then shift right click, and once it finds the correct line, there we go. You can see it starts running the moment that it hits that. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to need one more axle because I want the turntable to be above the floor. This is going to be like our little pottery area. There we go. There's our 12. Yep. And what do you know? That is perfect. My very last piece of black quartz. By the way, altogether, if you count the amount that I've used to repair and making all these axles, I have gotten about a stack and a half of black quartz in total. Just to give you an idea of how much black quartz I'm actually going through at the moment. Okay, so we're going to bring that up to about right there. And we're going to put our turntable down right there. Now there is this little knob here, and you can right click this and it's going to shift down the line. What this means is when you put something on the turntable, it's going to just run. And some of these things, for example, if you take a look at the planter, the planter requires the crucible. The crucible requires clay. And actually the planter turns into an unfired vase. And the unfired vase turns into an urn. I believe that's the urn. Which we don't get that until stage 3. And then the urn can turn into clay. So what the knob here does is the farther to the right it is, the slower that your turntable is going to run. So just in case you're not actively watching it, I will say all the way to the right is very, very slow. Whereas all the way to the left is pretty fast. All the way to the left, you're going to be crafting an item in about 2 or 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, something like that. It's pretty fast. If you go all the way to the right, it's going to take closer to like a minute. It is very, very slow. Okay, so it's just kind of nice if you're like, well, I'm not going to be paying attention. Let me throttle the speed down. So that is an option. But what we're going to make is we want to make our very first buckets, which require clay barrel extensions. Okay. And actually, clay barrel extensions, you can make them on the turntable using clay barrels. So you can make just a bunch of clay barrels. It comes out to be the same clay, so you might as well just craft the extension. Let me pop over and get some clay real quick. Okay, so let's get our barrel extensions. These right here, and 10 of them. Well, I'll tell you what, let's actually get one of these unfired clay barrels. And then we'll turn the rest of these. I actually have an extension made that I've smelted. So I think this will pop, which we'll use this a little bit. Actually, maybe this episode, in fact. But what we'll do is we can put our clay barrel extensions, and you're going to see the clay starts breaking. and then there we go. I'll break that off. Okay, and then we can run this through the kiln and get our clay bucket. By the way, the clay barrel is through the kiln as well. Okay, so let's go get this stuff smelting up. Okay, so there's our clay barrel, and we got the bottom of the barrel, and then our clay bucket. There is our bucket list advancement. And then over here, like I said, I do have a, I've got a clay barrel extension. We're going to go ahead and grab that. Oh, we have to place it on top of a barrel. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We're going to do that in just a second. Okay, so this bucket, it does say it will literally melt away after transporting hot liquid. That's fine. I don't have any problems with that. So let's pop over to the beneath. I want to show you guys something really nifty, and I want to get our first bit of lava too. Okay, so let's get ourselves a bucket of lava, and I'll probably come back here with a lot of buckets over time, but it's fine. I've got to come back here between episodes and mine up a ton more black quartz. So, because I'm not done with axles by any stretch of the imagination, so I'm going to need more of them. And by the way, you may have noticed I have 2 beneath teleporters now, because when I zoned in after moving it, it spawned another one. So you can like duplicate them with that if you so desire. Okay, now I'm also going to want to get a faucet, and do I want to go with just the seared brick one? I'm thinking so, gravel, clay, and sand. So I'm just going to do like a half stack of each of them, because I like to get this running through the mill, because I want to start making grout. It won't be too much longer before we get into a smeltery. Let me actually sleep real quick. Oh, and by the way, between cuts, I actually broke 5 days of playtime. So, woo. 5 days of playtime. We're not quite at age 2 yet. Okay. There's our grout. That is so much easier in like porcelain clay and stuff. Like when I made those casting channels before for that leatherwork setup, that hurt. Like it was so painful having to do that hand crank for that long. But now I don't really mind it too much. Okay, grout. I can cook that in the kiln. Okay. I thought so. I want to make sure. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our clay barrel and we're going to set it up. Actually put it like right here. And then our clay barrel extension. We got the extensions advancement. We've really about knocked this out because this ends like right here or something like that. We pretty much have to get into the basics of astral sorcery. And then what we're going to do is our seared bricks. They're almost done. There we go. And let me just pull up this casting basin for right now. That'll be fine. I'll replace it. I'm going to make a seared one. But for right now, this will work. And we'll take our faucet. And we're going to stick this onto... Well, let's see. If I was to put... We'll dump that in there. And you can see it says contains 1,000 millibuckets of lava. If I put the faucet on this one, this is something I haven't tried. We put our casting basin right there, and then we take, it's 250 millibuckets of lava. Okay, so I can actually make 4 pieces of this then. We can just put that in there and then pour our lava over it from our clay barrel, which luckily the clay barrel does not break when it's dealing with lava, just the buckets do. So there we go, 4 pieces of that, and guess what we can do? Okay, so there's our 2 Mark II hoppers, and then if we just put lava wood with that, we can get our flame grilled whoppers now. We no longer have to use shadow gems. Calahad is the one that brought that up. He brought it up earlier today, and I was like, oh, that is useful because I actually need 2 more flame grilled whoppers over here for, actually I need those chests right now. What do you know? I needed 2 more flame grilled whoppers over here for our kilns, because I want 3 of those kilns so I can kind of have a little bit faster smelting, because those kilns, like we have furnaces, yeah, but the kilns are just as fast, and, you know, they're free, whereas the furnace takes fuel. I have used this once or twice when I was over here, because I don't have a grill set up here, because personally, I like the grill to be for food, you know, just smelting food, just for the immersive aspect of it. Oh wait, I'm going to need to, at least that should work. So if I dump something into that, yeah, it shows up in there. Okay, that should be fine. And then we can put our clay kilns down. So just an alternative method for crafting flame grilled whoppers now. Super cheap at this point, now that we can get lava. Way cheaper than what we had going before with all the shadow gems and stuff. So yeah, now we can finish those out, and it's kind of like guilt free, because those shadow gems, just to have extra kilns, it's kind of like, do I want to do that? But I will say we do have quite a bit of shadow gems now. Oh, by the way, moss stone. This is something I wanted to point out. I was originally planning on moss stone instead of cobblestone around the base of our mill house, right? But there's a slight problem with this. If I place down moss stone, it turns into cobblestone. You can craft it using vines, which is how I crafted it, but it just turns right back into cobblestone. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a bug or what. I'm assuming it's probably a bug, but anyways, it just turns into cobblestone. So yeah, maybe once we get a chisel and we can chisel it, I imagine the chiseled version of the moss stone wouldn't turn into cobblestone, but I don't know. But anyways, I know it's about wrapping up point for this episode. I was really wanting to get into the like multi-block kiln, like the other kiln, so that we could start making vases and stuff, but we really don't have the time this episode to do that. So we'll have to wait until next episode. So next episode, we will be focusing on, we'll probably make this bed, just knock it out. It's not very expensive. I'll go over those pipes. We might do the hunting dimension. Like I said, I don't really have any need for that, but we will be doing a bit with astral sorcery. So we'll be starting into astral sorcery. So, and then between episodes, of course, I'm just going to build away. I'm going to try to work on the mill house a bit and whatnot. I actually like that grading so much. So much. I don't know if I like it on the cobblestone there. I may make some changes there, but I'm just now getting my hands on those, so I'm kind of playing around with them a little bit. So, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay up to date with when new videos come out. I do apologize, we did not hit age 2 today. I know that was originally my plan. I was thinking it was the mechanical energy line that hit age 2, not the astral sorcery one. Mechanical energy is kind of greater than astral sorcery, in my opinion. So. Plus we get water wheels. It's so exciting. So anyways, next episode we will be hitting the next age. I'm sure of it. We'll get into the basics of astral sorcery and all of that. So I hope you guys join me for that, and I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys then.